Welcome, Kyle. It's good to see you. We've got a big one today. This is the Watson and Wiltshire podcast. We're on season 3, episode 7, and today we are discussing the Odyssey.
The Odyssey, man, this is a big one. I mean, I heard yesterday that at a theater in LA, you can't get a seat in the IMAX theater until like sometime in September. Like it is completely sold out. Like this thing is huge. It's big, man.
It's big. It's huge.
Big. Wow. Big.
It's funny because I think around here they had all the theaters were showing all of them. And so you had standard, you had 4D, you had, IMAX, then you had the IMAX 70 millimeter. And I think maybe you were a little concerned because you were looking at movies and it was like, I can get any seat I want just about any time I want. Yeah. And I started looking at the 70 millimeter and like, there wasn't anything for days. Like it was like all Spartan symbols, like all over the entire, place, unless you wanted to sit on the front row. And so I've been reading and they've made a ton of money and it's all coming. Two things that I found interesting. More than half of it's coming from IMAX. And secondly, a huge 18 to 35 crowd going to see this. So the Gen Z has bought in. They have bought into the Nolan hype.
Yeah. No, I was satisfied to go see it in standard def, if you will. And yeah, I mean, it was a half full theater when I went, but you were like, yeah, man, I can't find a seat anywhere in the IMAX. And it's interesting, that Gen Z is really all about it. My son, who's on the lower end of Gen Z, he is in Gen Z, but he's on the lower end. Nolan's his guy. He loves Nolan, and so we're going to spend a lot of time this episode talking about Christopher Nolan, and obviously we'll get to the film eventually. But it got me thinking, just sort of as like a warm up question. Jay, we have our lovely novel, our first novel, The Dead Rock Stars here, and I was thinking, like, if Hollywood just came to us, like if they discovered it and were like, this is it. This is the next big thing. This is everything we've ever wanted in a story. And it is, and like,
I see where you're going with this. I like it.
Yeah. And like we had our choice of directors, and I was thinking beyond director, let's go director and like the composer. Cause there's a lot of directors that have their go-to guy. If we had our choice, who would we choose? So I'm going to give you 5 options. Okay. And you tell me who you would go with and I'll tell you who I would go with. And, and when it's not like, in their prime, I'm talking like today. We have to have them today. So here we go. Okay. In no particular order. First option, I'm just going to buzz through all 5. Here we go. Steven Spielberg and John Williams. I mean, goats, but today. So Steven Spielberg, John Williams. Second option, Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer. All right. Nolan and Zimmer. Number 3, Robert Zemeckis and Alvin Silvestri. All right. Back to the Future, Forrest Gump. They've got a deep bench of hits. Okay. Number 3, Jon Favreau and Ludwig Göransson.
That's number 4. That's number 4.
That's number 4. Sorry. Yeah. Number 4. Yeah. Ludwig Göransson. I think he invented an instrument for Dune. Like he did the soundtrack on Dune and he had to invent an instrument. Yeah. So he is fastly becoming the GOAT. All right. And number 5, last one. Okay. J.J. Abrams and Michael Giacchino. I don't even know if I can say his name right, but he did all the Lost stuff. He did like Star Trek. Like he's got a lot of hits on his list as well.
Work together.
Yeah, they're like tied at the hip. So which of those 5 combos, if they came to us and they were like, guys, we love your film, we all want to do it, which one did you pick?
I was surprised by my choice. Yeah. And the more I think about it, it's the only one I would want out of this list.
Yeah. Can I guess?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess because I think it's mine too. Favreau and Göransson?
Nope.
Whoa. Okay. Who would you pick?
Zemeckis and Silvestri.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I think Zemeckis understands humor.
Okay.
And I think he understands, like, the Dead Rock Stars in particular, it's not silly, but like it's an idea that is akin to Men in Black. And so in a way, the world doesn't see what's out there. Like I would like to see Zemeckis' take on that. Also think that you think about Forrest Gump and you think about the soundtrack and what went with that film and how they kind of weaved in the music in there,
Yeah.
I feel good about them handling the source material very well. More expensive than purchasing the Dead Rock Stars movie rights and script would be the music for the film. I'd like to present to you two new ideas.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it. Well, let me just say, I think I would do Favreau and Goranson because Favreau, I think, would get our sensibility. You know, I know that Mando and Grogu wasn't a runaway smash or whatever, but typically he's been a lot of hits, you know.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Favreau and Goranson just, man, his musicality.
I don't think that Abrams or Spielberg or Nolan would really, I don't think that Abrams or Nolan, I don't think this would tickle them. I don't think this would be things that they would go for. I don't know about Spielberg. He may love it, you know?
Yeah.
But
Abrams maybe. It's not sci-fi enough. You know, it's not like, you know, it's not like What's Behind the Door enough, you know.
But I don't think we could go wrong with any of these choices, to be honest. I get your Favreau choice and your Goranson choice. Like, clever, they get it, they get a genre. Probably not quite something Favreau's ever done, really. I mean, he's done big budget Marvel, but you know, this would be different.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting.
Well, let's hear your alternate options.
Okay, Kyle, I'm gonna switch it a little bit, and I'm gonna go from composer to music supervisor.
Okay.
I think that Lord and Miller, with a music supervisor of Lin-Manuel Miranda, could be really interesting.
Ooh, Lord and Miller for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, they would definitely get the humor, the sensibility. I would really like what you said about Zemeckis because, like, Forrest Gump pulling his pants down in front of the president is like, you know, that's something that like, would happen in the Dead Rock Stars.
Yeah,
you know, like that type of humor. But Lord Miller would definitely grasp that. Okay, but Lin-Manuel,
yeah, for a music supervisor, and here's why. Forget the fact, like, number one, he's kind of it for Disney as far as he can write a hit and it's amazing and he does his stuff. But two, I don't know of very many people that have a more extensive musical knowledge than him. Like, that guy knows music and he knows all kinds of everything in and out from hip hop world to rock and roll. He is extremely diverse, and I think he would nail the assignment of what songs needed to play in what moments. Now, we lay it out pretty well in our book, but like, I think he would understand and appreciate it, and it would all work. It would work together.
Yeah.
My last one, I would like for Edgar Wright to direct, and I would like for James Gunn to be the music supervisor.
I say no to that.
I didn't say James Gunn to direct. I said James Gunn to be the music supervisor.
Yeah. I mean, the original Guardians was fire. You know, the other two were pretty good too with the music, like the needle drops. But the original Guardians, man, holy cow, that was top notch. So he probably would get what we're coming from. He could smell what we're stepping in. But
Edgar Wright, Edgar Wright understands.
I mean, it's always fun to dream.
Yeah, Edgar Wright understands action, and he understands style. Like, Baby Driver for me is like a cool film that's got music entwined with it, to where, like, the very beginning of that film, he drops a needle on a record and the whole thing kind of plays out musically. The scene does, and like to the music, and I feel like Edgar Wright would get it. You know, I think he would get what we're after. Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen Baby Driver. It's on my list, but I've never seen it. I need to. I need to see it.
It's really good. Yeah.
Well, let's do this, man. Let's go toward the Odyssey. And, you know, big picture wise, when you think of the Odyssey, I mean, it's a text we all have encountered at some point in school along the way. But do you remember anything about it from school? Do you remember reading it? Do you remember any of the story beats at any point? Or did you read it in school? You know, what's your memory there?
Yeah. I read it in high school in Latin class. And
Latin.
Yeah. That teacher was really pretty. That was the reason. That was really the only reason. Yeah. Anyway, The Odyssey for me was a story that things were interesting in it. Like I remembered the Cyclops, I remembered the sirens, I remembered certain moments that happened, but I didn't really understand the story as a whole. I didn't really understand what it was saying per se, or what was out there, what some of the themes were. I thought that some of the characters were cool, but I just didn't like. There are some things that are missing in our modern culture that just don't translate quite as well today from that story in ancient times. And one of them is like, directions. Like, why did it take 20 years to get home? Like, you get a map, like get on the road, like get it over with, and so there were things like that in high school that I don't think I appreciated as much. And, but yeah, it was important. The Iliad and the Odyssey both were important in high school. They were interesting stories to me. Some of the earliest, were kind of recorded, and the scale with which he wrote was a little bit different than other things that had been done. And so that fantastical nature and all the things that were there, the gods and all those conversations, that was fascinating, but it was more like I understood pieces of it than I understood the overall picture. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I want to say, maybe 10th grade English or something like that. And definitely college. You going through it in college. Because I remember one of my teachers, the way she said Agamemnon, it's kind of cracked me up how she said it. But anyways, I don't remember much. In fact, most of my memory of the Odyssey had to do with, the Iliad, not the Iliad, but more so the movie Troy from mid 2000s, like 2004, I think, the Brad Pitt movie. And that was, of course, the first half of the story, and the second half was, the going home part. So I was very like, I had to watch like a 5-minute, like everything you need to know about the Odyssey before you see the Odyssey. And I wish I hadn't. I really did. I wish I hadn't seen it, because I knew that Nolan's trustworthy,
Yeah.
in terms of like telling a story. It's not going to be linear. Well, I know that much, but it's trustworthy that I'm not going to be confused. I'm not going to wonder who's this and who's that. The casting, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but the casting was so like distinct. Like I know who these actors are, so I wouldn't be confused there. So I wish I hadn't, because it kind of not spoiled anything, because it's it's a familiar enough story, but it was still one of those that like, I wish I didn't remember the story beats.
Yeah,
I wish I just walked into it cold.
It'll be interesting to see where it lands in the annals, in the history books, as far as like Odyssey and film interpretations. I think it was quite good.
It's the only one. Like there's been like TV movies and stuff.
Kyle, I think that you're forgetting that the geographical oddity that is 2 weeks from everywhere.
Well, there have been what's the word? Homages.
Yes.
And you are, of course, referring to "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," which was a really important movie to us in 2000, 2001 when it first came out. That was
Do not seek the treasure.
So listeners, to fill you in on the inside joke here, Jay and I were in graduate school together, and sometimes we would be passing by a classroom, and I would see him in there, or he would see me in there, and he would get down the hallway, or I would get down the hallway just far enough where we wouldn't get in trouble if someone saw us or heard us, and then we would just scream, "Do not seek the treasure!" And then like get out of there, and you could hear it coming, echoing through the halls of our school there. So that's the joke there. That's the joke. But that was very loose, only in the fact that there was, like homages to things that were in the Odyssey. There was a Cyclops, there were sirens, there were, a guy trying to make his way home. Other than that, it was, I was trying to, and, several characters were blind, there was that, but there wasn't really, it wasn't a 1-to-1. Like this represents this and this represents this, and it tells the exact same story.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I love that movie. I love that movie. That's a classic. Well, let's do it. Let's talk about. Well, go ahead. You something else?
I was just going to say, I think that it matters significantly that a movie of that scale is handled by someone who isn't afraid to tackle it, and I think Nolan is kind of at the peak of his powers at the moment and was able to convince Hollywood to spend the money and do the thing. And so, I mean, it's a big story, which requires a big film, which requires a big director. And so, it's hard to think about another movie director who's done so few movies that hasn't missed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Over 10 movies. Who has that record? Pixar?
Right.
Tarantino?
If Tarantino is your cup of tea, you could say Tarantino,
Yeah.
because he really hasn't had one that's just like, oh, that's a horrible film, we'll talk about our top fives for Nolan here in just a minute, but let's talk about Nolan himself. Been a constant, as nerd movie fans for the last 20 years, beginning, when he got Batman. Some of us may have seen Memento or, Insomnia, some of his earlier stuff, which were groundbreaking, like great setups. But it was Batman that really, I think, introduced him to the broader world. What's your Nolan relationship and, memories of him coming up?
I'm a pretty big movie nerd, especially at that time in our lives, we were going to see everything.
Yeah.
And for me, the first time he came on my radar was Memento. The buzz was inescapable. It was obsession. Like it was Backrooms kind of esque. Like there was this movie that nobody really knew much about by this guy who I think his brother wrote the story. So Jonathan writes it, Chris makes it. Nobody really knew it was coming. I mean, he had made a short film, like 70-minute black and white before that. But Memento was kind of a game changer. And so from that point forward, anytime he ever did anything, I was locked in. Like I was signing up to buy the movie ticket. Now I haven't seen all of them, but it was one of those where you watch it and you're like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? This is new. This is other. And so, I've been following it pretty closely since the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, similar to me. I probably, Memento, I definitely saw Memento in college because I think it came out in 2000. So I think I saw it if not in college, maybe that first year, in Birmingham together. I rented it. It was an old school rental, like go to Blockbuster, rent a movie, type thing. And yeah, I just remember being blown away. Like, man, what is this? And I thought it was cool because, Trinity from Matrix and Joey Pants were both in that movie, and I was like, oh, Matrix people. But yeah, so that one kind of blew me away. But it was Batman when I was like, this is everything I've ever wanted in Batman, because we were coming off the Batman just ended so poorly. The first two Burton ones were pretty cool. And then it just went off the rails with Schumacher, especially that last one, Batman and Robin. I would put it up against just about anything as one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It is atrocious. I was trying to describe it to my son the other day, and I was like, everything Arnold Schwarzenegger said in that movie as Mr. Freeze was a one-liner. Every single line, everybody chill. I mean, like, it was just so stupid. I was like, what have they done? And then Bane was in it and he was like this big balloon person, So, I mean, when Nolan gets hold of the franchise and it's like, hey, this is more grounded. It's gritty. It's, it's like, Batman's flying on a glider in Batman Begins. So it's not like totally grounded in reality, but at the same time, it's like, oh, he's got a tactical belt with stuff. It's like it's not shark repellent. It's like real gear. It's like real stuff that people can actually use. Oh, that's probably, big giant Humvee is probably what the Batmobile would look like if this dude's, going into like National Guard war zone, type situations.
I think it's important to remember too, in that 2005, I believe, was Batman Begins. Is that right?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Technology is drastically changing at that time. You're in the BlackBerry phase of things and everybody's about to get iPhones. And so like the technology that Bruce Wayne would use, in those films really does a great job of it feeling futuristic, almost James Bond-like, but like grounded in reality in such a way where you're kind of wowed by the way Batman uses technology and in his suit and his vehicle and all those things grounded in reality at a time where technology is compounding on itself. Knowledge is compounding, and it's getting better and better every minute.
Yeah. So much so that was the peak of, Dark Knight was, hacking everyone's smartphones,
Yeah.
To create a sonar. But, so, okay, I'm thinking about Nolan and it hits me. All right. It hits me. Every movie he's ever done, save one, is about one of two things. And some of them are about both of his things. It's about a great man trying to get home or protecting home. Every single one. All right, let me go through it. Okay. The Odyssey, man trying to get home. Dunkirk, it's about men trying to get home, get off the beach, get home. Inception, all it was about Leo trying to get back to his family. All right. Memento, if you want to call, memory home, the guy was just trying to restore his memory, trying to get back to, what it was. Okay. Protecting home. Batman Begins and Dark Knight was all about got to protect Gotham, got to save Gotham. This great man out to, conquest and save. Okay. Oppenheimer. Why on earth would he build the bomb to protect home, to protect the people he loves, right? Tenet, this was not the great man. This is the great woman, but, she was protecting her family. That's what, the Elizabeth Debicki character, I can't remember her name from that movie, but she was protecting her child, protecting home. And in some ways, the reverse war and all those things, is about protecting, the prestige, protecting the magic, protecting the thing that's closest to you. And then these three are about great men protecting home, trying to get home. Interstellar, The Dark Knight Rises, Batman gets put in the jail cell and he's got to get home. Then he's got to go protect Gotham, and now the Odyssey could fit here too. A great man trying to get home and protect his home. And so, there's a lot of people that want to say things about this is every film is Christopher Nolan's apology to his family for being gone for so long. Tell him I'm sorry for my job. I do love you. But I think that's reading into it too much. But it's interesting that all these movies have these same recurring things. So much so I've heard it said, the opening scene of Inception is Leo on a beach washing up. The opening scene of the Odyssey is Matt Damon on a beach washing up, there's just so much one-to-one, connected tissue. I don't know. Has that ever occurred to you? Has it ever, stood out to you?
No. And, I don't hate it. I don't hate anything you're saying. I mean, yeah, I think some of it is a slight stretch, but not the majority of it. The majority of it clicks. It works. It's very real worthy. We'll definitely put that out there in a 1 minute clip.
The only one that doesn't fit that mold is Insomnia, which is the only one he didn't write.
Right.
Correct. that was his first and only paycheck job. Yeah. He did Memento. They're like, hey son, how about you take this one? And he put his stamp on it, made it awesome. But
with Al Pacino and Robin Williams and Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Hey kid, take this.
Yeah. Hooah. Al Pacino with Insomnia. Yeah. So man, I haven't seen that one in a long time. Probably need to revisit it. Revisited The Prestige within the last 3 months and way better than I remembered it. Way better than I remembered.
I love it.
It was so good.
I don't want to tip my hand what we're doing next, but I'm a big fan.
Well, let's do it. Top fives then. Top five Nolans. What's your, and these are not, I don't think these are the greatest or whatever, when it comes to if you want to watch a Nolan, what's your top five?
Yeah, let's take turns with our numbers. We'll go.
Okay.
We'll talk about our fives and we'll go down the list. What's your number five?
Well, I'll probably get hate for this, but Tenet, man, it is so confusing, but it is so engrossing. The whole time, you can't look away from the screen because you're afraid you're going to miss something. It's so propulsive and I mean, I need to revisit it. I've seen it 3 times. I still don't understand it. Maybe 4 times. I still have no idea. But what a movie. Holy cow.
I think Tenet was a turning point for him because I think he eased off the confusing after
I think so
Tenet.
Too. Yeah.
Tenet does not make my top 5.
Yeah.
I don't understand the film. I can't understand the science. And so because of that, it doesn't work for me. I don't understand what's happening. And I just decided at that point that I wasn't smart enough to watch that movie. So I've seen it maybe once. I'm just not smart enough to understand it.
I don't think it's understandable. There's a scientist early in the film. She's like, don't try to understand it. Just believe it. And I'm like, That's it. That's the theme of the movie right there. Don't try to figure it out. Just roll with it and enjoy it.
So I had a hard time coming up with 5. I've actually got 7 films that are in my top 5. For me, number 5, there's a tie, and it's The Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar. Interstellar for me was what you said about Tenet. It was confusing, but it was amazing. Like the visuals were breathtaking. You couldn't not. I can still see some of those. I can still see those ocean waves in that movie. You know, I can still see. All right. Back behind the bookshelf, trying to communicate. Like they're just those moments and those things in that film that are just. It's like seeing 2001 or something like that. Like they are iconic, memorable movie moments that will be shown at the Oscars 30 years from now with these classic scenes.
Yeah. I'm going to hold off on my commentary on Inception, but Dark Knight Rises, I think
No. Interstellar.
I'm sorry, Interstellar. Yes. The I ones. I transposed the I ones. Yeah. Interstellar. Yeah.
So my number 4.
Well, let me say something about Dark Knight Rises really quick.
Yeah. Okay.
I love the Dark Knight Rises. I recognize that it does have flaws, but I don't think I don't think some people call it maybe his worst, or, it's in the top like 3 of his worst films. I don't like storytelling by convenience or by coincidence. So there's a whole lot of storytelling by coincidence that happens in Dark Knight Rises, but still, man, it's so satisfying. And, for me, like my favorite Star Wars is Return of the Jedi. My favorite Avengers or, Marvel is Avengers Endgame. Because I love it when a story comes together, and it has a satisfying conclusion. And that conclusion of Alfred and Bruce in the, in the cafe, and then the new Robin getting on the, finding the Batcave. Like I get chills even just thinking about it, how good that ending was. So I'm here for Dark Knight Rises. Not my top 5, but I'm here for it. What's your number 4? Let's hear it.
Yeah, you have to forgive me. My computer is giving me a little bit of grief. I'm at 20% on my thing there, so I was trying to get it to charge up, and it's not biting at the moment.
Whoa.
So
plug it up. You want me to go to my number 4 while let you work on that?
I'll tell you my number 4. My number 4 is The Prestige.
Okay.
It's not one that a lot of people would probably say is theirs, but for me, in their top 5, but for me, the economy with which that film was made versus what was produced, the acts that were done, the aha moments. Like if you're making a movie about magic, it's all about the ta-da. And that movie had an amazing ta-da, and they were ridiculous and they were great. And it was fresh. Again, it was fresh. It was a, very quick movie that did very cool things. They made it, I think, in the 6 weeks between Batmans or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And I was shocked and wowed by The Prestige in a way where I still talk about it with people and I still want them to go see it. It's among my favorites.
I really, like I said a few minutes ago, I really enjoyed my rewatch of it a few weeks ago with my kids, because we were, in preparation for Odyssey. I was like, hey, let's check out some more Nolan, so let's watch The Prestige. And man, I had forgotten how good it was. I remember when I saw it, it was like, oh, Wolverine and Batman in the same movie. Yeah, let's do this, but it wasn't that at all. And I loved the twist that, one magician or one guy's secret was very practical, and the other guy's was supernatural, and I thought that was really cool. And how, you could tell that Fallon was Bale in a beard the whole movie, but it was still a cool reveal, at the end. And, and the conclusion of it all was, just pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
And so I walked away going, wow, much better than I remembered. That was very much worth the revisit.
I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I think it is. It's David Bowie's final film.
Was it? Okay.
I remember he was in another movie, and just a terrific casting choice for Tesla.
Yeah. When he showed up, I was like, dang, I forgot Bowie was in this movie, but I did remember he had 2 colored eyes in there. I was like, does Tesla really have that? And they're like, no. And they just left that in.
Yeah, I think that's Bowie.
I think it's Bowie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, number 4 is Dunkirk.
Okay.
Dunkirk is, I think one of the most creative, war movies ever conceived. And when it finally comes together, when you finally piece together the three timelines all converging at once, I was blown away in the theater, because I remember there was a scene early in the movie when, they've already, I may be wrong on this, but I feel like, they've already picked up Cillian Murphy, the schooner, the ship that's coming to save the people from the beach, the man and his son, and the guy from Immortals. No, it wasn't Immortals. What was it? Eternals. And and then there's a scene later on when you see the survivors from the beach being dragged by a boat, and you see Cillian Murphy in the boat. So it's like, well, how is he two places at once? So there was that confusion of that moment. But then when it all aligns, when it all comes together in that moment, man. And when Bane, when Hardy, when he turns back around without fuel, man, it gives me goosebumps every time. That's such a great scene. So took my boys to see that in the theater a few months back. They did like a replay Tuesday or something, just something to get people in the theater. And they were just when it was over, they were just eyes were this wide going,
yeah,
wow,
That's
so
cool.
I love Tenet. One of my and we haven't gotten to the movie yet.
So your number 4 was
Dunkirk.
Your number 4. What's that?
Dunkirk was number 4.
Dunkirk.
Yep.
And what's your number 3?
Inception. Number 3 is Inception.
Okay.
My son Noah, his favorite movie of all time. We saw that one in the theater a few months back. Again, they were doing replays. And it didn't hold up quite as well for me, the scene in the theater again, but it's still so good. And one of the things that I love so much about Inception is part of the reason why I staged the opening question I did about directors and composers is Hans Zimmer's score in that movie is so propulsive, man. It's so good. And it's still a great film. I still enjoy it. I still love it. I would, this is the order. If someone says you want to watch a Christopher Nolan movie, this is the order that I want to watch, So number 3 for me is Inception. What about you? What's your third?
I have this is another tie here. Number 3, I have Memento and the Odyssey. Memento, like I said earlier, it felt new. It felt completely other. It felt like I was watching an idea that I hadn't seen before in film. And I thought that Guy Ritchie was amazing. I thought the whole film was cool. I loved it. And so it's up there for me.
Not Guy Ritchie, Guy Pearce.
Not Guy Ritchie, Guy Pearce. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you. Good catch. And then it's tied with the Odyssey.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we don't have to talk about it because we're going to talk about the film.
Yeah.
But that's where it kind of lands on my list. And then for me, my number 2 is Inception. I think it is peak Christopher Nolan in both his weaving of a story, all the different confusing elements, and it all kind of coming together. And like, it took me a couple of times to even realize what I was watching as far as what does Inception even mean? Like the idea of planting an idea, like there was so much going on there that it's just so super cool. And that the casting was great. Everybody was great in that film. And it's just, when I think about Christopher Nolan, I think about Inception.
Yeah.
I think about Batman, then I think about Inception.
Well, I love the bus, falling off the bridge, and, the real time of it falling as, the different levels, the things that are happening on each level. I love, his take on time. And that, I think that is, other than Tenet, like his peak time story,
Why, with such a cast, why didn't Joe Gordon-Levitt get to make the cut on the Odyssey?
Good question. I feel like maybe Elliot Page might have got his part.
Yeah, I start thinking about the bus. I start thinking about the falling. I was like, oh yeah, I remember him bouncing everywhere like it was space.
He should have been. I think he's a one and done. I don't think he's been in other.
He's Robin, bro.
Well, you're right. I totally forgot. Yeah, that's right. Maybe he couldn't handle it. Maybe he was like, yeah, I don't want to spend all my time in Iceland, or where all the different 6 different countries or places they had to go. But
no, that's fair.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is Inception. I think that the ending of that film is truly iconic.
Cinematic.
The spinning top.
Yeah.
And then the question.
Yeah.
Did it stop spinning? Oh my gosh, to walk out of a film and have that, what was it?
Yeah.
That's peak directorial powers right there. What's your number two?
Now, number two is The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight. I find it highly rewatchable. You know, I think it's the peak of comic book cinema. I don't know if it's the greatest comic book movie ever made. It probably is, but it might not be. I need to really think on that. But I think it's the peak of comic book cinema. The best example of cinema and comic book, the collision of what can be done, with the right cast, the right storyteller, the right
actor,
the right everything.
Yeah.
I'm still remembering. I can't remember the whole Lao storyline, why he had to go to Taiwan or Beijing or wherever he went. I can't remember where he went, but he had to get, airlifted out of that office building. I mean, what an amazing scene. That was so cool. I think he held the money for the gangsters. I think he was the money man for the gangsters, in Gotham. But anyway, yeah, still Dark Knight, if I'm going to throw on a Nolan movie, it's number two. It's quite good. What about you? I have a feeling it's your number one.
Do we want to talk about Dark Knight?
Yeah, do it, man.
Okay. Yeah. Dark Knight is my number one. As you were looking for words, I think see if this tickles it. See if this does it, tickles your fancy. See if this does it. It's the gold standard of superhero serious.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like taking superhero movies seriously, it is the best. It's the gold standard. It's the one that does it better than anybody else, and the one that everybody will try to achieve and attain. The Dark Knight Rises for me was great. I felt like it was a really good culmination of a trilogy.
Completion.
But as far as a individual movie, there is not one better. As far as superhero serious goes, it is the gold standard.
And I think, I don't want to be insensitive, but I think it would still hold that place if what happened to Heath Ledger hadn't happened. I think he still would have won the award. I think he still would have, been remembered as that iconic, like, wow, like blow your mind portrayal of a character, regardless, whether if he didn't pass, and so, it's definitely, I think that's the best way to put it, the gold standard for comic book serious. So that leaves my number one.
Yeah, let's see, what is it?
It's Interstellar, man. I have a hard time talking about that movie and not getting emotional. I don't know why it hits me right in my core, like it hits me right in my core. Maybe having a daughter, maybe, the sacrifices of fatherhood, the regrets of fatherhood, like all those things. And it's little to do with the science, the space travel. It's the emotional part. Like my kids, I keep coming back to this, but I showed my kids in Interstellar a few weeks back, again, in preparation for the Odyssey. And when it was over, they're like, yeah, that was good, but it's so sad. I don't think I can watch that again, and my older son, who's very like black and white, he was like, I'm gone for 60 years. I'm going to come back. I'm going to say hi to my daughter. Then I'm going to leave and go find the woman that I don't really, like that much. It was just kind of funny, his take on it. But, man, what she says, I knew you'd come back because my dad said he would come back. Like, whoo, get you in the feels, man, every time. So sorry, I got emotional on the podcast.
No, that's okay.
That is number one for me. If I'm given the choice of what I want to watch, it's Interstellar. It's number one. And the music, man, the Hans Zimmer score. I heard a story that Nolan didn't tell him anything about the movie. He gave him broad strokes about, a father and a son, or a father and a family and a daughter, and, saving humanity, that sort of thing, and said, go write the score, and he went and decided church organs, and it was like, that seems so incongruous. And yet it is perfect for the film. It works so perfectly. So number one's Interstellar for me.
Confession.
Have you never seen it?
Have you seen all of his films?
I have not seen Following, his very first. No, I've seen them all. Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen Oppenheimer? Well, it's good. It's serious though.
Yeah.
Like it's serious. It's
Yeah.
it's really great. What's cool about Oppenheimer is he portrays science as art. You know, like the way Oppenheimer sees science is like the way an artist sees art. And so he does these visual representations of Oppenheimer dreaming about science and thinking about science. And so he makes science really cool, you know, in that movie,
Okay. Yeah.
even though it leads to devastating effects. And you know, there's all that's kind of the beginning part, you know, of the story, but it leads to the, you know, the moral quandary of the bomb and all that stuff. Anyway, man, I think we have thoroughly
Yeah.
vetted.
We're at like the 40 plus minute mark. I think we need to hit the Odyssey for a little bit.
Let's talk about the Odyssey. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to give a little bit of I don't know. I mean, a recap, I guess, needs to be done. I mean, it's one of the most oldest and most famous stories ever, but like probably
For
needs
sure.
a quick recap.
Yeah, quick recap. Just if you've gotten this far and you know, you're still listening and you don't know anything about the Odyssey, here's what it's basically about. After the Trojan War, Odysseus and his band of surviving veterans, they face a treacherous voyage back home to Ithaca, encountering dangerous and mysterious creatures along the way and angering the gods with their choices and human frailty. I wrote that one. I did not take that one from IMDb. I wrote that one. That's straight from my noggin.
Yeah,
All right.
That's good. Well, let's jump straight in and let's hit some 30-second reviews, and then we'll go to Spoiler Town, because you know we've talked about this film off camera more than any of the others we've done so far.
Yeah.
And so I think we both have an idea of where we're going, but we haven't talked about our reviews.
We have not.
So I don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah. You probably, you know, close, but you want to
Okay.
go first? You want me to go first?
I'm happy to go first.
All right, man. I got your timer ready. Here we go. Jay's Odyssey review in 3, 2, 1, go.
2026, The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan is a master of film. He is a master director. He is masterful in what he does. I can't say the word master enough. He's the one. He's the GOAT. The visuals were impeccable. 99% of casting was outstanding. Maybe, just maybe a touch too long. Extremely well written for screen. And I would give it 4.75 Ray bolts.
Okay. The anchor holds. All right. Well, thank you for giving to the pod, Jay. All right. All right. That's our.
Thank you. I dreamed I went to a podcast.
If you haven't figured it out, that's our bolts. That's our bolts joke. Look it up if you don't.
All right.
know.
Are you ready for your 30-second review?
I'm ready. You tell me when.
By the way, I don't know if you know, but I hit that on the nose.
You did. You nailed it. It was right at 30. It was really good.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Kyle J. Wiltshire's 30-second review of the 2026 film, The Odyssey, in 3, 2, 1.
The Odyssey is an incredible piece of filmmaking by Christopher Nolan. It's practically shot in real locations with real sets and really incredible actors. And it was a complete breath of fresh air. However, like the main character Odysseus, I wasn't sure if the Odyssey really wanted to get home. It's saved by an epic final act, but it gets, for me, real boggy in the middle. So I give it 4.5 lightning bolts. Boom,
Boom.
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 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't really know why I don't want to give it 5 bolts, but there's just something there that I was just like, no, it's not perfect.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not. Because I think why is because it's not a perfect story. It's not the source material is not perfect. It offends our sensibilities in many ways. The motivations of Odysseus often are very confusing to me, you know? And so I think that's a big part of it. It's not anything with the filmmaking. It's very little with the casting. It's just the fact that the source material in and of itself is not perfect. It's not a perfect story. And so in some ways instead of drastically changing the story, he was fairly faithful, pretty faithful, I think, to the story with his own interpretation, his own spin on it, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But but I think that's the limitation. I think that's what holds it back for me. It's not that it's not epic. It's not that it's not thrilling or riveting. I think
Yeah,
the
I mean,
source.
we're gonna go see it again in the theater. Like we're gonna. I mean, I don't know that we'll go together, but like I'm gonna go again to see it. You're gonna go again to see it. Like maybe before it gets out of IMAX, we're gonna save our pennies and we're gonna make some magic happen.
Yeah, I do need to see it in IMAX because only having seen it in standard screen, this is what I would look like in a standard screen in IMAX. That's what I look like,
No, seriously, I do think that there's something to it, and I think this is the type of film that lends itself to a giant screen, and I would like to see it. I would like to see it done that way. Let's talk about what we liked, Kyle. I'll let you pick a topic, and then I'll grab one. And
it's spoiler town, obviously spoiler town. We're there. So I mean, for me, I love Matt Damon in the role. I think we're going to have a blood feud between Matt Damon and Tom Cruise for Best Actor, the Oscar this year. Just judging by the Digger trailer we saw a few weeks ago, but I think this is Matt Damon's peak performance. Maybe not his best, but I think we're getting him at his peak in terms of maybe not his youthfulness or his physicality, but combining it all, everything and what he can do. I think he is the ultimate utility actor. He's the most versatile, like A-list actor in Hollywood. He can do anything. He can do comedy if you need him. He can do drama if you need him. He can do action. I mean, he's Jason Bourne for Pete's sake, like he can do absolutely anything that I think, we would want to. I don't know if we've ever heard him do. He did some accent work in All the Pretty Horses and the Bagger Vance movie and the True Grit.
some good pulls.
He's never pulled off like a British accent or anything like that. But it's not that I don't know that we want him to. But I think he's the most versatile actor in Hollywood. Yeah, that's my first thing that I really, really liked.
I agree. I don't know why. Like I agree. Like there are some things that I don't know. I'm a little bit more sentimental. We're gonna be talking about the bear later. When he sees his son and he doesn't reveal who he is, and then finally they get it, like I think I wanted a little bit more something on his face to Tom Holland that he was so proud of him. He said the words, but like, I don't know. That was a missed opportunity, methinks, in that moment right there. I know the eyes were still on him. I know all the reasons about what he was about to do. I can appreciate all that, but I thought Matt was really, really good, and I agree with you. I don't know if I could come up with somebody who could do it better.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation, about could Leo have done this? Could Christian Bale have done this? Somebody else in another role. I'm sure, there'd be different takes. It would have been a different take, but Bale could have absolutely done it. But
yeah,
I'm really glad it was Damon.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I agree. There were really good parts of it all the way around. So I liked. I feel like the secondary casting was pretty phenomenal all the way around. It's pretty phenomenal. Robert Pattinson was a special kind of ugly. He was really good. Tom Holland did not distract me. In fact, it made a lot of sense that he looked like Matt Damon by the end of that film, and I don't think I'd ever thought that before.
Yeah,
I thought that John Bernthal was great. I thought that Matt's cohort when he was in the Travels, the guy that was in Yesterday, like I just thought everybody did great. I thought Charlize Theron was pretty. I really liked Anne Hathaway. I thought she took something that wasn't much and made it pretty good. Her little speech there at the end, setting up, I'm going to take a suitor and here's what you have to do. And like that whole thing could have been a little bit more gimmicky, and it just wasn't. It was great. Yeah. I like John Leguizamo. I thought that that was fun. I didn't know he was in it. I didn't expect to see him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in much lately.
Right.
And so I liked it. I don't have anything negative really to say about 99% of the casting for sure.
Yeah, no, the casting was outstanding. I didn't have any problem with various races, like when you're sporting American accents in ancient Greece, it's like, okay, we can just sort of put those things aside that are, like everyone in this thing needs to be white or Middle Eastern or whatever, everyone must look the same, I guess not Middle Eastern, but Mediterranean, maybe darker skin. I don't know. I don't know what they should have looked like, to portray accurately ancient Greeks. It didn't bother me one bit. It didn't take me out of the film at all. It didn't bother me that, different colors, different, races and so forth. No problem. I thought it was more about the actor in the role,
Yeah.
and it was great. What's something else that you really dug?
Man, the visuals were so good. The scary creatures, things I just didn't expect to see the way he did it. I really liked it. There's only one part that I'm kind of confused about still that I probably just need to go study a little bit, like the giant soldiers.
Yeah. When they came out of the woods, I was like, whoa. What?
Yeah. It was like, why is there a little kid screaming? And then why are they there? And why are the trees moving? Like, there just wasn't as clear of a witch is on a hill and she's doing witchcraft. Cyclops is in a cave. Sirens are on rocks. Monsters are in the water or around the water. But that scene didn't track for me. Yeah. And so I don't understand what it was or why they were there, or I don't remember it from the original. And so I don't really know what they were going for. And so I may have to read up on that, try to understand that a little bit better. But the special effects were amazing. I've never seen a Cyclops with a sideways nose, and I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, the Cyclops was a little bit, not quite my favorite thing, I guess. And I heard that there was some practicality to it, like, I don't know if it's motion capture or
no, it was not motion capture. It was a giant.
It was a real guy. Oh, a puppet. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Instagram right now is insane with Odyssey facts, clips, memes. Like, one of my favorite ones that I've seen recently it's the Billy Madison clip where he's about to play dodgeball and they're like Odysseus about to string the bow. And, but along with that, they've got pictures of like the real Cyclops, like with like a giant puppet with strings.
Okay.
And it being there in the room and like the scope with which they did that. And so pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved the practical nature of, real sets, real places, like when they go to Hades, like that was a real place, not actual Hades, but like that was a real place that exists, on Earth.
Yeah.
The scene of him walking through that tide pool when he's still captured by Calypso or with Calypso, whatever. And, like, where is that? I would love to see that, like to go visit that in real life. Just all those stunning places. Just amazing. Yeah. And that's why it was so refreshing. Like I said, in my 30-second review, like, it was not shot in the volume. It was not shot, behind a green screen. It was real. And I just, all the coverage I'm hearing and, podcasts I'm listening to and stuff is talking about how this is it. It's never going to happen again. It's too expensive to make movies like this, but I'm like, well, look at the money it's raking in, like tell a good story, go do practical things in real places. And, it might make as much money as this has as well, just give some thought toward it.
There are two directors out there that are doing real stunts, real things, real practical effects that are making people are giving them the money to do that. I mean, David Letch with Fall Guy and all the John Wicks and all this stuff. I mean, he's doing real stunts again, and that's a thing that is making a little bit of a comeback. And then, Tom Cruise does that as well with his films. But then this, as far as just the realness of it, you did not feel like you were. Forget the volume. You didn't feel like you were in a pool of water ever. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like it was an underground water tank that was made. Like, it felt like they were actually in the ocean. They were suffering.
Well, I rewatched Jaws recently, and it gave me those vibes of like, these are really some guys on a boat. Now they may just be 50 feet off the shore. It doesn't matter, but they're actually in a boat. Cameramen are on a boat, and they're doing things in the actual places, and it gave me that kind of feel of like, yeah, this is, we're making things again in this country.
Yeah. Okay. I really liked the themes and the story. This was the first time the Odyssey ever made sense to me. Now, we've talked about this just a little bit, and it's possible that Nolan is telling his version of it, and he's giving his themes to it. But I really connected with his themes, and the whole overall story made a lot more sense to me based on what Nolan did with the source material.
Yeah. I love the realness, of Odysseus grappling with his mistakes and his errors, the things he's done wrong, and that ultimately he didn't want to go home because of his shame, because of what he had done, what he had taken part of, breaking Zeus's law, with the Trojan horse, the sexual assault of the women, like was clearly vividly revealed that that's what happened, and as those men were sacking that city, and so it's like all that was really what kept him from truly wanting to go home.
Yeah,
He didn't just have his memory erased; he wanted his memory erased. For those years with Calypso.
it's interesting to think about. You could say Odysseus is a good man, maybe a great man. He, in his honor, goes to war, follows Agamemnon. He's there for 10 years. And during that time, while he is still maintaining the great warrior, good man persona, he's at a place where he needs to get home. Like he needs to be done with this. And so he allows a little bit of lapse in integrity of the laws,
Yeah,
Zeus laws,
he shortcuts it.
to do a thing to make it happen to get home. And so in essence, there's a little bit of overlooking of his own soldiers being monsters because the ends are more important than the means of how it goes about doing it. And so he allows his men to be monsters. He allows his men to go in and fight in an underhanded way. He allows them to go do whatever. And then because it's been 10 years and all that rage is built up, then you see the war crimes and the atrocities. And then not only that, it's like he wants so badly to get home. He's a leader of men. So he's going to take these men and he's going to bring them home. And along the way, as they're trying to get home, as they get off these boats, they're ravaging the world around them. And he allows it because it's again, the end purpose for him is to get home. And he's allowing all these horrific things to happen, all the while dragging these men along to the point where, he can't really save them. And he can't save them from themselves. And that's interesting. But at the same time, he lost himself in that process.
Yeah. Yeah. Strong. Well, let's pivot now to the things that maybe we didn't like. The things that, unless there's anything else that's outstanding that you want to go over, stuff that you really enjoyed.
We just said, I think that trauma from terrible things, what it does to your heart and your soul, what it does to people, the impacts on a community, a civilization, all of those things I thought was really well handled and done well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, as far as things you didn't like, I don't know. We've talked a little bit. You mentioned a little bit about the dragging and the time. You think it could have been edited a little bit better?
The runtime, let's call it what it is. The pig scene was so awful. Like that's why, and intentional, but that's why it was rated R for the awfulness of that scene. And that was the peak of like, all right, I need this to go somewhere, cause like it was a continual, the first act was setting everything up. The second act, most of it was, the journey, trying to get home from one island to the next, the different obstacles they faced, the people they came encounter with, and at that point I was like, I need something to happen. And then of course the end was just so propulsive, man. And I wrote a quote down. I wanted to read it. Hang on. Let me find it really quick. Calypso says to Odysseus, and I just love this because it was like, okay, now we're going somewhere. She says, give up the fight, give up control, and live. And I was like, oh man, like that's when I knew, that's when my excitement, my energy picked back up, for the film. And he gets on his Tom Hanks raft, and Wilson his way back, back home. And
Yeah.
and then just the whole like, okay, how's he going to get in? What's going to happen? All the different pieces. You didn't like as much his reuniting with Telemachus, I think. Tom Holland's character. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought everything that needed to be conveyed was conveyed in that moment and was felt for as much as they could do it. As much as he could reveal. He revealed everything he could in that moment. And Tom Holland, you could tell by the way he acted, he felt everything he was supposed to feel in that moment. I love that scene. That worked for me big time. But so I did not. It just dragged. Maybe cut out the one that's confusing where they go in and the trees are moving and the giant soldiers. Like maybe cut that one out. That'd take 5 to 10 minutes out of the film. Make it just a touch shorter. It might not have dragged quite so much. I don't think you can take the pig scene out, even though it was wretched. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, it's important.
It's important. It's absolutely important for the film. So yeah, the runtime, I felt it. Now, if I watch it again, I may not feel it the second time.
Yeah,
but that first time I absolutely did. So that's something I didn't like.
Yeah, I don't know that I've got a ton. Like, it was a really good film. The stuff I would talk about is super nitpicky, and so I just don't even know if it's particularly worth it.
Yeah,
some of the casting choices caused you to pull yourself out. Sometimes when you have so much star power, it can start to feel a little gimmicky, and there were a couple of the casting choices that pulled me out of the film.
Yeah, I mean, Bernthal is Bernthal and everything he's in, but it was still good. That's not a bad thing. He was still good. I was highly disappointed in the reveal of who Agamemnon was. It was Benny Safdie. Like I was hoping for, like, honestly, when I was watching the movie, you could never really tell. I was hoping for like Liam Neeson, someone like epic, like, whoa, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, that had been a great spot for Bale, like in the Matt Damon in Interstellar cameo role, or the best one yet, if it would have been Affleck. If Affleck would have been Agamemnon and Damon's having to follow him in the war and having to, cover
that would have definitely pulled me out of the film.
It would have, but it would have been awesome when they pull that. Because he's wearing a Batman suit, basically. That whole suit, he looked like freaking Batman.
Yeah, he looked awesome.
So cool.
He looked so cool. That was the best use of a suit in a film, I think. So like not knowing who the person is, but yet completely understanding who that person is.
It's like Darth Vader, man.
Yeah,
he looked awesome.
Is the epitome of death personified. He is on a rampage, and he is gonna, he's gonna do all the things. And I love that we didn't really get to see his face, not until a millisecond.
Yeah, we
didn't really get to hear him talk. I mean, even when we did, it was like after his. I wanted to make a joke earlier that it's the best use of a non-speaking role since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I remembered he did speak when he was dead, and so didn't quite work. But I loved the scariness of Agamemnon for sure. It was a great film. I'll go see it again, and it will be one that needs to be watched. It's important, and it was well done, and it's hopefully will inspire young filmmakers to try to do big things down the road.
I hope they have the option or the ability to do things like this, because these are the type of movies, again, like I know I said it for Disclosure Day, but these are the type of movies. This is why you go to the theater, for movies like this. Because great storytelling is really important. And that's a huge part of it. And this is a good story. It's not a perfect story, but it's a good story. But you go to the theater for spectacle. And spectacle is not CGI spectacle. I'm talking real stuff, real spectacle. And Nolan's just a master of that, in Dunkirk, all the crafts, all the boats coming to get the people off the beach, all those scenes that he has created over the years, Joseph Gordon-Levitt fighting in a hallway as it turns, like all those things, like that's why you go to the movies.
Yeah. You want to be wowed, and this is a wow type film.
Absolutely. Well, let's do 2 things in closing.
Okay.
All right. Well, 3 things, but first things first. What should Nolan do next? In your mind, what do you think would be the next right step for Chris Nolan? I've given this some thought, and I think I have the right answer.
What would I want him to do next? Gosh. Well, let's think about what he's done. He's done comic book stuff. We don't really need that. He's done period pieces in history. He's told confusing, weird science fiction / whatever stories. Like I don't really know. I don't know what else I'd want him to do. I mean, I guess he, in a way, Oppenheimer is a biopic, but like it's not a familiar biopic. So I don't know. I'm not sure. What do you got?
I mean, some of the things that people would say are, he's never done a sports film, so all the great filmmakers have a boxing movie at some point, like he hasn't done a boxing film or a sports film. Maybe he could do auto racing or something, but that's been done quite a bit lately. So that'd be a little tried or a little tired. I think he needs to be given the reins to the James Bond franchise. I think Batman set him up for that. I think his sensibility, I think his eye for filmmaking, I think the budgets he can get, the places he could go, the stories he could tell and if he could come up with a pre-planned 3-movie arc, just like he did for Batman, for James Bond, beginning, middle, and end, man, I think it'd be epic. I think he would nail it. I don't know who he would cast as James Bond, but I think he needs the reins to the James Bond universe. That's my thought of what's next for Christopher Nolan.
If Chris were to do a Western, how would he turn the Western on its ear? What would be the mind-bending scenes? Would it be around the railroad? Like, would it be around the nature of it all going out west? Would it be, what would it be?
It would be something told from the native perspective, something told from the Native American perspective of, losing home, protecting home, those themes that he always comes back to, and wrestling with the inevitability of defeat. That's every filmmaker as they get old start telling stories about dying. Maybe something like that. His Irishman, his he's not that old yet. He's just a few years older than us. But maybe that's his film in his 70s or 80s that he does, a Western from the native perspective or something. Yeah, I don't know.
I think we talked about this before, and I don't remember what I said. So maybe I didn't come up with.
I don't think you came up with anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Western is the Spielberg. That's his next. Yeah, thing.
That's right.
He's gonna do a Western. He said for his next film. But so should people see it, Jay? Should if you're a parent?
We've already answered that question.
But if you're a parent, your kid's 15 like mine or 17.
It's important. Yeah. It needs to be seen. It's important.
I agree.
There are big themes in there that need to be seen and addressed. And like, I don't think there's anything in there that's like harmful in the sense of, life is hard. Yeah. And like, it's great. It's a great thing to talk about everything that's in that film.
If we're getting real specific, there's 3 F words. There's a few dudes' backsides that you see, and then there's the pig scene when guys get turned into pigs, which is just disgusting. And the way they're eating and all that's just it's just gross.
Yeah, it was a lot to watch.
It's a lot to watch. But other than that, man, there's
great film.
Great film.
Go see it.
Not a hard R at all. The violence. I mean, yes, there's a lot of violence, but there's not like gore and and blood and stuff.
We'll say it's PG-15.
PG-15. There you go. PG. I like that. A new rating. We've created a new rating.
PG-15.
Well, you wanted to close out talking about the bear. The Odyssey talk is over now. Let's close out, spend the last few minutes talking about the bear.
I think it's important, as much as we've talked about the bear in our previous seasons, to address the fact that they just put out its last season and it's over.
It's done.
You watched it and saw it first. You and Joni blew through it.
Mm-hmm.
I finally finished it, and I'm interested to hear some of your takes on it. For me, I am just a sucker for the journey, and that is a show where you just have to be okay with wherever they're going to take you, and trust that you're in good hands, that there's going to be a resolution. I also like I don't know if this fits properly, but the hero's journey in a way, or like a metamorphosis, maybe would be what I say, like where Richie went from to who Richie always kind of was, to then like how the essence of Richie was maximized for benefit of society. I thought was beautiful and for himself. Like he went from being a guy who just wanted to make everybody happy to being able to use that skill in the world to becoming an international businessman.
Well, I loved when he told Unc or whatever, the money man. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But
computer.
No, the computer and the other guy, but he
Yeah.
was like, we're going to make this work. He's like, why we've been doing this for years. We've never made it work. He says, because you've never had me fully committed, and I was like, oh yeah, like that's when it started to cook. I did not like the first half of the season, the build up, the buildings falling apart, all that stuff, because things were just getting fixed and no one was really ever working. They were still cutting onions and making pastries. It's like, who's stopping up the leaks? The facts are on the roof, like those practical things drive me bananas in storytelling. So I did not like the first half. And, it's like every 2 minutes, we got to go have an existential crisis, while we're having a smoke out under the tarp that was hastily thrown up, I was just done with it. I was done with that. But once service started, customers started coming into the building and they started, and all those things started happening. I was like, okay, this is cooking again, but I'm glad it's over. I'm glad they're bringing this to a close.
I don't think it would have been as powerful unless we had gone through what we experienced with them. It felt like they were leading us to a conclusion where it was all going to fail and they weren't going to win and they were going to miss. And like seeing the significance of a group of people that were family before, but then try to achieve something great together as a family and then really truly do it and understand themselves. Like for Carmen to understand who he is and realize that, maybe he was doing it to escape, but then to come to a place where he loved it again. I thought that was great. I thought that Sydney's character and who she became and the way they respected her and then how she respected them, to watch Tina go from who Tina was, a nobody, to now doing what she's doing. Like, it was all great. To the setup of the moment and that, how they overcame that night, because like even Richie was like, I just couldn't say no. Yeah. So everybody's coming. Yeah. And we don't have any food. And it doesn't matter that we don't have any food. It doesn't matter that the building's falling apart. It doesn't matter that the weather is against us. It doesn't matter that everybody believes we're going to fail. Like, we just pulled off something great together, because if we do it together, if we do it with love, like, it's going to happen. And I love that. I love that. I love the Starman misdirection. I love Richie's journey. I love Marcus's journey. I love the way they resolved relationships. Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, but she wasn't in it in such a way that she stole any kind of show. It was just a way to resolve that portion of the story.
Well, and they gave you so many, like, oh, here's where the crap's about to hit the fan.
Yes.
When she rolls in with the baby, you're like,
yes,
no, and it never went that way.
And it was how many seasons of buildup for that payoff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And, and in that, all these people were getting the help they needed to better themselves. I get it. I get the big picture themes, but I kind of came to the close with all those characters. The only one that I'd want to continue to spend time with would be international businessman Richie.
Oh my gosh. That's an icon. He wins. I mean, that's why we're going to see him in movies for years to come. Him freaking out, never being on a plane.
Yeah.
Like, that was so honest and so beautiful. And like, we talked about this earlier. I spent 3 seasons just wanting somebody to hug somebody on that show. And when they finally did it, it was so rewarding to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I love the show. I really enjoyed it. I think my favorite moments in the show were, oddly enough, like the quiet moments of them learning how to be chefs. Marcus in Amsterdam, and some kind chef teaching Carmi how to tie a chicken correctly. Like all those things, the proper way to cut. Like, I don't know why, but I guess the technicality of all that stuff was just so fun. And I ran out of patience for the facts by the end, but I loved the scene when he finally was serving, the I don't know what to do with my hands. That was just great. But anyway, so yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad it's over though. I'm glad it came to a close. And I'm happy with the way it ended.
I hear you. It a couple of questions, because I think we said most great series, it's always the episode, the penultimate episode is always the best one.
Yeah.
And I think they nailed it. I think they did it. It was great. Did Carmy go back to the bear?
Probably eventually. Because that guy's not going to make it as an architect. He didn't have the mental constitution.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Let me tell you where I thought he was going, and I would have loved it. I thought he was talking to a publisher and he was going to pitch a book deal about cooking, about, all that, because they made such a big deal to show his mom and his sister, Shug, like looking at his journals of all the things. I'm like, he may hate cooking now, but he's got a wealth of knowledge about cooking. This guy could write cookbooks. He could be like Anthony Bourdain, these guys that travel, can tell you about food. Like, it probably would have been too obvious if that's the route they went with his character, but that's where I thought they were going. And I thought it would have been perfect if they had.
Well, I like the idea that it was just going to go do an internship, like I like that. It wasn't like he got a big job that he was qualified for.
Right.
He got an internship. He's starting over.
Yeah.
I also don't know that he is personable enough. That character is personable enough to be able to be on a show. Like when he starts to talk, he's not that interesting.
Right.
Like he's not dynamic, but I thought that was great.
I got tickled a couple of times when he was trying to fire up the group, he'd be like, yeah, let's go. He didn't have it, he like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to fire us up, That was really funny.
I loved it. I had one other thing. I can't remember what it was or what it was about. Maybe the storytelling of it all. Yeah. I think it is a case study, like a handbook on dynamics in a film or in a show, the dynamics that happen between insane and quiet. The quiet moments are more valuable because of the insane moments. And that's one of the reasons why I do not like Safdie Brothers films, because they do not stop.
There's no quiet moments.
No quiet moments.
Yeah.
And if they could figure that out, I think it would. I mean, it's some of what they're trying to do, the stories they're trying to tell, but it's too much. They need a break. They need somebody to just breathe for a second and something.
Yeah. I don't think I would have made it past season 1 of The Bear if not for the tomato cans episode. You know, when they found the money in the tomato cans and Radiohead fires up, like I was like, okay, now this is cooking. Now this show is going somewhere, because I just had enough of people yelling at each other. I needed something more than that,
Well, and that's a really cool thing to be reminded of, the importance of quiet and respectability and like being thoughtful to each other in the last episode. Like if you were to go back and from episode 1 to that, where Sydney's like, don't yell, don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
Like big difference.
Right.
Big difference.
For sure.
I loved the way they handled relationships. Like Richie went from being the biggest loser. Like I was seriously worried he was going to kill himself like several times in the series. Like that was a fear of mine. Like he's sleeping in a couch. Like his ex-wife, whom he loves, is marrying Josh Hartnett, for goodness sake.
Right.
And like I'm just like, this guy's got nothing going for him. And then to watch him kind of grow, like to watch him become who he is and now become an international businessman, like it was great. And then like to see him fall in love again, and like the way they handled that was so gentle and nice. Just little touches of hands and things like that. And so like, I don't know, it was a winner for me. It'll be one of my favorites. It's funny. I don't know if it's going to be remembered, but it was a special series for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, movie or shows now are, more compact. There's fewer seasons, there's not as much runway,
They've been BBC-ified.
Yeah. We've all kind of gone, every show's kind of gone down that road. And so, yeah, you may have like, something like 50 episodes of the show, but in terms of hours watched, it's not that long. A lot of those episodes were shorter, all that to say, I think it'll hold the spot in the, in like the 2020s as one of the beloved shows, like one of the groundbreaking beloved shows, interesting place to come from FX, like interesting studio to create it. So yeah, I mean,
I don't know that Christopher Storer has really done much else. And so that'll be interesting to see what he does next.
See what he does next. Yeah, for sure. I imagine Star Wars will give him an offer. They give everybody an offer, and then they don't do it. Then they
seems to be slowing down a little bit these days.
A Star Wars food show. Okay, I wonder. I mean, that would be the end. I think that'd be the end of it. Star Wars chefs. Yes, Jedi. Behind, on your left. Like that'd be awful. That'd be just terrible. Well, I think we have broken the record for our longest episode.
Yeah, we've done it. But 30 people that are going to watch this, man, they're going to eat it up.
That's probably the longest movie we've ever watched and reviewed.
Yeah,
though, so
it's true.
It needed it. It needed it.
It fits.
All right, Jay Bird, I enjoyed it, man. Thanks for your time today. We will try to do. Let's give some what's coming next. We're going to try to do a Spider-Man episode. Yeah. Life may interfere, but we're going to do our best to get you guys a Spider-Man episode, and I think that'll probably be our season finale. But if we don't make it happen until mid-August or so,
we'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll be back at some point in the future.
We'll be back. It's been fun, man. It's been a good summer. Good movies.
Yes, sir.
I've had fun doing this, so hopefully we'll get to do one more.
Boom. String
Until
that bow,
then.
man. Until next time. Bring it on. Let's hear it.